High Admiral Vextera of the Velkari Empire stood at the command deck of the Eternal Dawn, her iridescent scales reflecting the harsh light of an unfamiliar sun. The mining colony below seemed insignificant. Primitive structures scattered across the asteroid's cratered surface like discarded toys. Her secondary hearts pulsed with contempt. Preliminary analysis complete, High Admiral, announced First Observer Kilran, his sensor stalks wavering with confusion. The humans are using basic fusion reactors and rudimentary shield technology. Their most advanced weapons appear to be mass drivers and chemical propellants. Primitives. Vextera's mandibles clicked in amusement. Hardly worth the energy required to power our weapon systems. Still, orders are orders. The Empire requires this sector's resources, and we cannot allow unauthorized species to persist within our expansion zone. The Eternal Dawn's tactical display showed the human colony in perfect detail: habitat domes, processing facilities, and what passed for defensive installations. The Velkari battle fleet had emerged from slipped space mere hours ago, and already they had mapped every weakness, every vulnerability in the colony's architecture. "Send the standard Imperial ultimatum," Vextera commanded, "though I doubt these creatures will even comprehend the honor we offer them in surrender." The response came faster than expected. A single human appeared on the command deck's main screen, a female with close-cropped dark hair and the bearing of a military officer. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of the Deep Horizon Mining Colony. We've received your demands. The answer is no." Vextera's scales shifted to a deeper purple, signaling both surprise and irritation. "You understand that resistance is futile. Your technology is centuries behind ours. We can bypass your shields as easily as breaking through atmosphere." "Probably," Chen agreed, with an expression the High Admiral's xenopsychology training identified as a smile. "But here's the thing about humans. We're really good at surviving impossible odds. You might want to consider that before you start something you can't finish." The human's audacity was almost admirable. Almost. "Initiation Protocol Omega," Vextera ordered. "Let's show these primitives the price of defiance." The first wave of attacks went exactly as planned. The Velkari's quantum-phased weapons passed through the colony's shields as if they weren't there. Storage facilities exploded. Communication arrays melted, and defense turrets crumbled under precise strikes. But something was wrong. "High Admiral," First Observer Kilran's sensor stalks were writhing in agitation. "We're detecting unusual energy signatures from the colony's reactor complex. They're not trying to shut them down. They're overloading them. All of them." "Impossible," Vextera snapped. "Their containment systems would never." The explosion that followed rewrote everything the Velkari thought they knew about human capabilities. The colony's reactors didn't just overload, they detonated in a precisely choreographed sequence that turned the entire asteroid into a weapon. The blast wave carried chunks of mineral-rich rock directly into the Velkari fleet's formation, each fragment containing enough mass to threaten even their advanced shields. "Evasive action," Vextera ordered, but it was too late. Two support ships succumbed to the asteroid storm, their hulls breached by hypervelocity impacts. The Eternal Dawn shuddered as its own shields strained against the onslaught. When the chaos subsided, the mining colony was gone. In its place was a debris field that would make this sector treacherous for years to come. The Velkari fleet's formation was scattered, their neat battle lines broken by the need to avoid the worst of the destruction. "High Admiral," one of her bridge officers called out, "we're detecting a small ship leaving the system. It appears to have launched just before the detonation. One life sign aboard. Human." Vextera's scales rippled with fury. "Pursue and destroy. No survivors." Unable to comply, the officer responded, "They're using the debris field for cover, and our targeting systems are being affected by some kind of interference pattern in the asteroid fragments. They're getting away." As Vextera watched the tiny human vessel vanish into slipped space, She felt something she hadn't experienced in decades of military service: doubt. These humans had sacrificed an entire colony, turned it into a weapon, created a defensive screen that would deny the Valkyrie this sector for months, all to ensure a single survivor could escape. "Send word to Imperial Command," she ordered. "The humans are more dangerous than we anticipated. They don't think like a civilized species. They don't follow any of the standard combat protocols. And now one of them has seen our technology up close, has seen our tactics. Surely one human can't be a significant threat," Kilran ventured. Vexterra's scales had shifted to the deep blue of foreboding. "You don't understand. We've made a terrible mistake. We showed them our capabilities. We demonstrated our weapons, our shields, our tactical doctrine. And we left someone alive to study it all, to adapt, to plan." She stared at the spot where the human ship had vanished. "Send another message to Imperial Command. Priority 1. The humans are not primitives. They're something far more dangerous. They're innovators. And we've just given them every reason to innovate ways to destroy us." First Observer Kilran's report to the Valkyrie High Command was interrupted by another explosion. Through the quantum link, the assembled admirals watched as a supply depot on the frontier world of Nexthal erupted in blue flame. "That's the fourth major facility lost this cycle." Kilran's sensor stalks drooped with exhaustion. "The human survivor. This Commander Chen. She's not just attacking our installations. She's studying them first. Learning. Adapting." High Admiral Vexterra stepped into view, her scales now a mottled pattern of stress colors. "Show them the analysis of the latest attack." The holographic display shifted, showing the wreckage of what had been the Empire's most secure weapons research facility in the sector. The destruction was methodical, precise, and deeply troubling. "As you can see," Vexterra continued, "the human didn't just destroy the facility. They extracted data first. Our own security systems recorded the intrusion, but couldn't stop it because—" She paused, mandibles clicking in agitation. "Because they used our own encryption protocols. Protocols they somehow reverse-engineered from the debris of our first encounter." The members of High Command shifted uncomfortably. One of them, Admiral Zexcon, leaned forward. "Impossible. Our quantum-encrypted systems cannot be decoded without understanding the underlying principles of quantum entanglement." A new voice cut through the command channel. The assembled Valkyrie leadership froze as Commander Chen's face appeared on their secure network. "You know what's fascinating about quantum mechanics? Humans had already theorized most of its principles before we even achieved spaceflight. We just lacked the technology to implement it fully. How dare you intrude on a secure Imperial channel?" Zexcon's scales flashed crimson with rage. "The same way I intruded on your weapons facility," Chen replied calmly. "By understanding that any sufficiently advanced technology can be reduced to its basic principles, you Valkyrie build beautiful systems. Elegant, advanced, seemingly perfect. But you never stop to consider how they might be taken apart and repurposed." Vexterra's secondary hearts raced as she realized the implications. The debris field, the interference pattern. You weren't just covering your escape. You were scanning your ships, analyzing your shield frequencies, recording your command protocols. All of the above. Chen's smile had an edge that made even the hardened military leaders uncomfortable. "You should see what I can do with the quantum phase technology I pulled from your weapons. Turns out it interfaces surprisingly well with human mass driver principles." As if to demonstrate, alarms blared across 3 different Valkyrie battle groups. Ships reported critical shield failures as their own defensive systems turned against them, quantum fields collapsing under precisely calculated impacts. "Stop this," Zexcon demanded. "You're violating every protocol of civilized warfare." "Civilized warfare." Chen's expression hardened. "You attacked a mining colony. Civilians. Without provocation. And now you're upset because I'm not fighting by your rules." She leaned closer to the camera. Here's the thing about humans. We don't believe in fighting fair. We believe in surviving, in adapting, in taking whatever advantage we can get. The secure channel erupted with reports of more attacks. Supply lines disrupted. Communication networks compromised. Defense systems failing in cascading patterns that seemed random but were clearly orchestrated. This is just the beginning, Chen continued. Every piece of technology you use against us becomes a tool in our arsenal. Every tactic you employ teaches us how to counter it. Every superior system you rely on becomes another vulnerability for us to exploit. Vexterra watched as the supposedly impregnable defenses of the Empire began to crumble, undone by their own complexity. Why are you telling us this? Because I want you to understand what's coming. You thought humans were primitive because we use simpler technology. We choose simpler technology because it's reliable, adaptable, and most importantly, because we understand its fundamental principles. Your Empire's greatest weakness isn't your technology. It's your assumption that technological superiority equals tactical superiority. The channel began to break up, but Chen's final words came through clearly. You left me alive because you thought one human couldn't possibly threaten your empire. Now I'm going to show you exactly why that was the biggest mistake you could have made. Class is in session, and today's lesson is about human improvisation. As the transmission ended, Vexterra turned to the stunned members of High Command. We didn't just create an enemy, she said quietly. We created a teacher. And now she's teaching humanity everything they need to know to tear our empire apart. In the silence that followed, the assembled leaders of the mighty Velkhari Empire faced an uncomfortable truth. They had started this war believing they were the advanced civilization. Now they were beginning to wonder if they had simply been the first students in humanity's crash course on adaptive warfare. Status report, High Admiral Vexterra demanded, her scales shifting through patterns of anxiety as she paced the command deck of the Eternal Dawn. The holographic display before her showed the wreckage of the Velkhari Empire's most advanced research facility in the Nexus sector. Not destroyed, transformed. The quantum computers, the particle accelerators, the prototype weapons, all reprogrammed and repurposed with a precision that bordered on artistry. We've confirmed Commander Chen's presence in the facility, First Observer Kilaron reported, his sensor stalks drooping. But by the time our forces arrived, she had already integrated their systems with her own modifications. Show me, Vexterra ordered. The display shifted, revealing laboratory spaces where Velkhari technology had been dissected, analyzed, and rebuilt. Holographic notes floated in the air, human writing interspersed with complex equations that merged Velkhari quantum theory with Earth physics. Look at this, Kilrun highlighted a particular workstation. She's taken our quantum phase shields and combined them with primitive human electromagnetic principles. The resulting hybrid technology it's beyond anything our scientists thought possible. Another officer, Strategic Analyst Venrel, stepped forward. High Admiral, we've decoded some of her research logs. They're disturbing. The analyst's scales rippled with unease. She's not just studying our technology. She's systematically identifying its fundamental principles and finding ways to improve it. The main screen filled with Chen's notes. Velkhari quantum shielding. Elegant but predictable. Relies on perfect symmetry. What happens if we introduce controlled chaos? Human electromagnetic fields are messy by Velkhari standards. But sometimes, mess is exactly what you need. Play the security footage, Vexterra commanded. The screen showed Chen working, her movements precise and methodical. She spoke as she worked, recording her findings. The Velkhari build beautiful machines. Perfect, sophisticated, advanced. But they never ask, what if it breaks? Humans, we break things for fun. We take them apart. We ask, what else can this do? They watched as she dismantled a Velkhari quantum core, her hands moving with surgical precision. See this? She pointed to a component. They use it for power regulation. but with a few modifications. She made some adjustments, and the device hummed to life with a new purpose. Now it's a weapon that turns their own shield frequencies against them. This isn't just reverse engineering, Venril observed, horror creeping into their voice. She's advancing our technology in ways we never considered, taking our perfect systems and making them unpredictable. The footage continued, showing Chen at work on various projects. Humans have a saying, her recorded voice explained. Necessity is the mother of invention. But there's more to it than that. When you're outgunned, outmatched, facing an enemy with superior technology, that's when human creativity truly shines. We don't just adapt to survive. We adapt to win. Vexterra watched as Chen demonstrated her hybrid technologies. Valkyrie quantum weapons merged with human ballistic principles, shield systems that used controlled imperfection to create unpredictable defense patterns, communication arrays that piggybacked on the Empire's own secure networks. She's not just fighting us, Vexterra realized. She's rewriting the rules of what's possible with our own technology. Every system we deployed against her has become a textbook for human innovation. The final entry in Chen's log appeared on screen. The Valkyrie think technology should be perfect, controlled, following strict scientific principles. Humans, we see technology as a tool, something to be bent, broken, and rebuilt to serve our needs. They left me alive thinking I was primitive. Instead, they gave me access to the greatest laboratory I could have asked for, their entire empire. Alarms blared across the command deck. "High Admiral," an officer called out. "We're detecting energy signatures, enormous energy signatures across multiple sectors." The tactical display lit up with dozens of points of light, hybrid technology spreading across Valkyrie space like a virus. Each installation, each ship, each piece of technology Chen had studied was now a potential vector for her innovations to spread. "She's not trying to destroy us," Vexterra whispered, her scales pale with realization. "She's remaking our entire technological foundation. Everything we built, everything we thought we perfected. She's showing us how incomplete our understanding really was." The final image on screen showed Chen standing amidst her hybrid creations, a small smile on her face. "Class continues," she announced. "Today's lesson: why humans excel at turning an enemy's strength into their greatest weakness." As reports flooded in of systems across the Empire being transformed by Chen's innovations, Vexterra faced the ultimate irony of their situation. They had attacked humanity believing them to be technologically inferior. Instead, they had given humanity the keys to technological evolution beyond anything the Valkyrie had imagined possible. The Imperial War Council chamber had never seen such chaos. Holographic displays showed the collapse of Valkyrie military positions across 3 sectors, while urgent reports streamed in from a dozen more. High Admiral Vexterra stood at the center of the storm, her scales cycling through colors of distress as she delivered the unthinkable news. "The human. Commander Chen. She's not just defeating our forces, she's systematically dismantling our entire military doctrine." Vexterra's mandibles clicked in agitation. Every counter-strategy we deploy becomes a new weapon in her arsenal. Every defense we establish becomes another vulnerability for her to exploit. Supreme Commander Zexcon, his ceremonial armor now dulled with stress, leaned forward. How can one human cause such devastation?" The main display activated, showing footage from their latest defeat. A Valkyrie battle fleet, pride of the Empire, found itself trapped in its own formation. Their sophisticated combat algorithms, designed to maintain perfect tactical positioning, turned against them. Ships crashed into each other as their navigation systems received conflicting commands, all transmitted through their own secure networks. "She's using our pride against us," First Observer Killeron explained, sensor stalks writhing. "Our belief in technological superiority has become our greatest weakness. Watch." The footage continued, showing Chen's latest innovation. Small, crude-looking devices attached themselves to Valkyrie warships. Instead of trying to breach their quantum shields, these devices synchronized with them, creating feedback loops that turn the shield's own energy into weapons. Elegant, isn't it? Chen's voice suddenly filled the chamber, hijacking their secure communications yet again. Your quantum shields are masterpieces of engineering. Perfect, synchronized, beautiful. But that very perfection makes them predictable. And predictable systems can be manipulated. You dare? Zexcon raged, his scales flashing crimson. You primitive, you. Still calling us primitive. Chen interrupted. Let me show you something interesting. The display shifted to show a Valkyrie dreadnought, the most advanced warship in the Empire. Watch what happens when you introduce a little human chaos into your perfect systems. The dreadnought's weapons turned inward, its own targeting computers convinced by hybrid logic that the ship itself was an enemy. The quantum shields, designed to be impenetrable, became a prison, trapping the crew inside as their own systems turned against them. You see, Chen continued, humans learned something important during our own military history. The most sophisticated weapon can be defeated by the simplest countermeasure if you understand the principles involved. Your technology isn't just advanced, it's predictable. And predictability, in warfare, is fatal. Strategic analyst Venril stepped forward, their scales pale with realization. The mining colony, you weren't just defending it. You were studying us. Every weapon we used, every tactic we deployed, became part of my curriculum. Chen finished. You gave me a perfect laboratory to understand your technology, your tactics, your assumptions. And now, I'm teaching humanity everything we need to know to defeat you. The chamber erupted in new alarms as reports flooded in. More ships lost, more systems compromised, more Valkyrie technology turned against its creators. Your empire is built on the belief that advancement means perfection, Chen explained, almost gently. Humans, we build on the understanding that perfection is impossible. We expect things to go wrong. We plan for chaos. We thrive on adaptation. Vexterra watched as another battle group fell to Chen's hybrid weapons. What do you want? She asked finally. Why show us all this? Because you need to understand what's happening. This isn't just about revenge. It's about evolution. Your technology, your tactics, your entire military philosophy, it's about to change. Either adapt or fall. The display showed a new image. Human ships approaching Valkyrie space, not primitive vessels, but hybrid creations that merged the best of both species' technology. Vessels that looked crude by Valkyrie standards, but radiated power signatures that defied their sensor readings. That's impossible, Zexcon whispered. How did they build those so quickly? Because we're not trying to make them perfect, Chen answered. We're making them effective. Every failure teaches us something new. Every setback shows us a new possibility. That's humanity's real strength. We learn from our mistakes. Do you? As the human fleet approached, the Valkyrie leaders faced a terrible choice. Cling to their pride and fall, or admit that perhaps their view of advancement had been wrong all along. Final lesson, Chen announced. The most dangerous enemy isn't the one with the most advanced technology. It's the one who can take your technology and make it into something you never imagined possible. Class dismissed. The Eternal Dawn's command deck was silent as High Admiral Vexterra watched the approaching human fleet. These weren't the primitive vessels she had dismissed months ago. They were something entirely new. Hybrid ships that combined Valkyrie precision with human ingenuity, each one a testament to how thoroughly Commander Chen had transformed the battlefield. High Admiral, First Observer Kilaron reported, his sensor stalks trembling. We're detecting energy signatures we can't even classify. They're using our quantum technology, but they've modified it in ways our systems can't comprehend. The tactical display showed hundreds of human vessels, their formations seemingly chaotic yet purposeful. Unlike the precise, geometric patterns of Valkyrie fleets, these ships moved like a swarm of predators. Unpredictable, adaptive, deadly. "Open a channel," Vexterra ordered, her scales shifting to the deep blue of resignation. "To all ships." Before she could speak, Commander Chen's voice filled the command deck. "I see you've gathered your remaining forces, High Admiral. One last stand for the Empire's pride." "Why?" Vexterra asked, mandibles clicking softly. "You've proven your point. You've shown us our weaknesses. Why press for this final confrontation?" The main screen activated, showing Chen aboard her flagship, a vessel that looked like the impossible fusion of human and Velkhari engineering. "Because the lesson isn't complete yet. Your Empire still hasn't understood the fundamental truth we've been trying to teach you." Another voice joined the channel, Supreme Commander Zexcon, his ceremonial armor now bearing the scars of recent battles. "What truth?" "That humans are superior. That our technology is flawed." "No," Chen replied, her expression softening slightly. "That there is no such thing as superior or inferior technology. There are only tools, and what matters is how you use them." She gestured, and the tactical display changed, showing the evolution of human ships from their primitive beginnings to their current hybrid state. "Look closely," she continued. "We didn't just copy your technology. We didn't just improve it. We learned from it. Every weapon you used against us, every system we studied, they all taught us something new about the universe, and we shared that knowledge, adapted it, made it our own." The human fleet began to move, but not in an attack pattern. Instead, they formed a complex, ever-shifting formation that seemed to dance through space itself. Velkhari sensors tried to analyze it, to predict its purpose, but failed. "Your Empire's greatest mistake wasn't attacking us," Chen explained. "It wasn't even underestimating us. It was believing that advancement only moves in one direction, toward what you consider perfection. Humans, we move in all directions at once. We try things that shouldn't work. We break rules that shouldn't be broken. And sometimes, we discover something amazing." As if to demonstrate, the human ships began to emit energy patterns that made the Velkhari sensors scream in protest. Not weapons, something else. Something that defied their understanding of physics itself. What are they doing?" Strategic analyst Van Rel whispered, scales pale with awe. "Showing you the future," Chen answered. "A future where technology isn't about superiority or perfection. It's about possibility. About combining different ways of thinking to create something new." The energy patterns coalesced, creating a phenomenon the Velkhari had never seen before. A controlled quantum field that encompassed both fleets, linking them in ways that shouldn't have been possible. "You have a choice now," Chen said, her voice carrying across the linked ships. "You can fight us, cling to your pride, and watch as your empire crumbles under the weight of its own assumptions. Or, Vexterra found herself asking, or you can learn, adapt, evolve. Join us in exploring what's possible when we combine our knowledge instead of using it against each other." The command deck erupted in confused discussions as the Velkhari leaders faced this unprecedented proposal. Their empire had always conquered, always imposed its will. The idea of collaboration, of mutual evolution, was foreign to them. "The price of arrogance," Chen concluded, "doesn't have to be destruction. It can be enlightenment, if you're willing to learn from it." In that moment, as Vexterra looked at the impossible ships before her, at the energy patterns that defied their science, at the future they represented, she made her choice. Her scales shifted to the gold of new understanding as she stepped forward. "Perhaps," she said, "it's time for the Empire to take its first lesson in human innovation." As the two fleets began their historic meeting, Chen's final words echoed through both human and Velkhari ships. "Class begins anew." Today's subject: the power of combining wisdom from all sources. And this time, everyone's here to learn.